We all know that fads are a part of our lives. They revolve around various things such as toys, different activities, etc. that are popular for a certain time period. Throughout the time period, there is a craze over whatever the fad revolves around, and people find themselves competing with others to obtain the item or do something that is currently quote unquote all the rage. After the said time period of popularity is over for the fad, people often look back on it, see the fad for what it really is, and wonder why it was so popular and why he or she liked it in the first place. The book that I'm going to be reviewing today explores this concept and what the aftermath is after the characters give in to the fad that they're currently experiencing. The book that I'm going to be reviewing today is called The Berenstain Bears' Mad Toy Craze, written and illustrated by Stan and Gian Berenstain. The story begins on a quiet afternoon in Bear Country. Mama and Papa Bear, two of the members of the Bear family, who are the main characters of the story, are sitting quietly in the living room of the treehouse doing some reading. Their peaceful afternoon, however, is quickly interrupted when their cubs, brother and sister bear, come running home excited. Completely out of breath, they ask their parents for an advance on their allowances. Why do they ask for this? Because they want the latest toy line that has become popular in Bear Country, Berry Bubbies, which are essentially the Berenstain Bears' version of Beanie Babies. I'm sorry, but upon hearing the name for these toys, it sounds like a pretty corny name to me. Bubby is actually a term for a Yiddish or Jewish grandmother, so when I hear this name, Berry Bubbies, it invokes the thought of a toy that resembles bears that are Jewish grandmothers. After some convincing from brother and sister bear on how cute these toys are, Papa Bear reluctantly agrees to give them some money in order to buy the Berry Bubbies. And just like that, the cubs are off like a shot to buy the toys, to the surprise of Mama and Papa Bear. Mama recalls how she saw an advertisement for these toys in the window of a local hobby shop and assumes these toys are the ones that their cubs were crazy about. Papa remarks how amazing it is that sensible cubs can get roped into whatever silly thing that becomes a fad coming along. Stay tuned and you'll see how Papa Bear essentially contradicts himself after making this statement. Brother and sister bear become lucky as when they arrive at the hobby shop, they buy the last 3 Berry Bubbies left in the shop. The shop owner informs brother and sister that it's hard to say when the store will get more of these toys, as the phone is busy 24 hours a day. Needless to say, brother and sister bear are thrilled that they have finally obtained their first Berry Bubby toys. Once they get home, brother and sister show off their toys to Mama and Papa. Mama and Papa agree that their toys are cute. I agree to this up to a point. Seeing in this illustration, I have to say that the Berry Bubbies that the cubs obtained do have some strangeness to them, especially the golden one that Sister Bear is holding in her left hand in this illustration. Shortly after this, Brother and Sister Bear propose an idea to Papa Bear, which is to hire them to do chores around the house in order to earn more money to buy Berry Bubbies from their friends. This idea starts to get Papa intrigued by all this Berry Bubby business, so much so that he even shows interest in a newspaper article about a bear who bought Berry Bubbies before they became popular and sold his collection for a fortune. The cubs do their chores and earn more money to buy Berry Bubbies. After some time, brother and sister hear a rumor that a Toys R Us parody store in the Berenstain Bear universe, Toys is Us, in Big Bear City, has received an enormous shipment of the Berry Bubby toys for sale. Excited by this news, Papa tells the cubs to jump in the car, and before Mama Bear could give a voice of reason, Papa and the cubs race off to Big Bear City to the toy store. Can you imagine what would happen in the story if this rumor turned out to not be true? It would certainly make Papa Bear and the cubs look like fools, and possibly learn a lesson to not listen to rumors. It also seems to me that Mama Bear is encouraging Papa and the cubs to go nuts over the fad of Berry Bubbies, judging from the happily surprised look on her face in this illustration, as Papa Bear drives off in the car with the cubs, instead of looking annoyed and disgusted. Once Papa Bear and the cubs arrive in Big Bear City, where the Toys Is Us store is, they are lucky bears, as the rumor that the cubs heard about the Berry Bubby sale in this store turned out to be true. As the narration tells us, this event was like a big party, only it was more like a big aggravation, complete with a very long line that goes around the store, babies crying, and even went as far as two bears having a fight about a place in line, resulting in an arrest of both bears by the police. If I were in this situation in real life, it would really make me question if these toys are really worth going through all this hassle, and if there are better ways to spend my time and money in the local area. Despite all the commotion that went on at the toy store, Brother and Sister Bear managed to get their berry bubbies. In fact, we are told that they got so many of them, they are practically swimming in them in the car as they head home. I find the satisfied looks on Papa and Sister Bear's faces in this illustration among the berry bubbies to be nice, and it really is telling of the situation. It isn't long before these Berry Bubby toys are mass-produced, and they are pretty much everywhere in bear country, as prizes in cereal boxes, as free toys and kids' meals from the Burger Bear, which is essentially McDonald's in the Berenstain Bears universe. There are even free giveaways when you get your car filled up at the gas station as well. The narration goes on to tell us that there's really not much you can do with these Berry Bubby toys to begin with. You can't play dolly with them like you would with baby dolls. You can't choo-choo with them like you would a toy train. And you can't play baseball with them as you would with a baseball bat and ball. Well, of course you can't do those things with Berry Bubbies. They're not baby dolls, trains, and baseball equipment after all. They're, as far as I can tell, just little plushies you can just hug and place them any which where. I get that the authors did this to emphasize the fact that the Berry Bubby toys are pretty much useless, but the citizens of Bear Country keep collecting them regardless. But I feel this narration seems a little unnecessary to me. I would like to point out the expressions on the faces of the members of the Bear Country in this illustration. You can tell they're bored with these Berry Bubby toys, and it's pretty strange to see that the toys themselves have expressions of their own, including smirkiness, knowing that the bears feel guilty about wasting so much money on them. The only thing you can really do with these toys is just brag about how many of them you have. And as the narration points out, there's always going to be others who have more than you do. And where's the fun in that? I'll give you a moment to pause the video and read the speech bubbles of these bear characters and see how silly this competition really is. The book ends with the scene of the bear family sitting in their living room, surrounded by the Berry Bubby toys and looking shell-shocked. Using speech bubbles, Papa Bear asks, "Now, what do you suppose that was all about?" And Brother Bear answers, "I really don't know." And the story ends there. No, really. That's how the story resolves itself, just like that. The end. My final thoughts on this book. I have to say, that was certainly one exceptional cop-out ending I've ever read in a book so far. It leaves the reader feeling like the story is incomplete, and there should have been more to it that he or she actually got. There was no resolution to the plot at all. With the way it ended, it feels like the authors wrote themselves in a corner, in a way of saying to the readers, "We're sorry. We have no idea how to finish this story and effectively teach a lesson. So we'll just finish it by leaving the bear country doomed to be stuck with these ridiculous toys forever." And it's a shame, because reading this book, it was clear that there is a build-up to some kind of moral, such as, don't get caught up in fads, they're not worth it, and only buy the toys that you like and enjoy. It had some good momentum, but towards the end it just ran out of steam and gave up, leaving us readers scratching our heads in surprise and puzzlement. There really should have been more than what we got, as I just mentioned. This story is clearly based on the Beanie Babies fad that went on in the 90s, and it seems to me that the authors really hated Beanie Babies and portrayed it throughout this story, as the story doesn't really say much positive things about the Berry Bubby toys, beyond the fact that they're cute, which I think is the only thing that Berry Bubbies have going on for them, much like Beanie Babies in real life. If I were to rewrite this story, I would absolutely keep the momentum of the moral of this story going by building up on the scene in this book where the bear cubs are bragging about many Berry Bubby toys they have. Having brother and sister join in on the competition by continuing to buy more and more Berry Bubbies in an attempt to one-up all the other cubs. Doing this would result in the bear family having less and less money for the things that they truly need and want. Brother and sister realize how silly and ridiculous the game is, with no winning in sight, as well as the Berry Bubbies themselves, and as a result sell the toys, leaving them sadder but wiser about their toys and fads in general. What do I think about the illustrations in this book? Well, I would say they're average for the Berenstain Bears series. They're not as detailed and colorful as previous Berenstain Bear books, but they're fine for what they are. The area that I think the art shines the most is in the designs of the Berry Bubby toys themselves. I do admit that at times they are cute and very uniquely designed, especially one with a clock as a torso, one that happens to look like a miniature version of a bear who's a gas station attendant, and one that simply has a cone-shaped hat on its head. Overall, would I recommend this book to others? Well, personally speaking, I would not recommend this book for the reasons that I stated earlier, especially for the aforementioned cop-out ending and the poorly executed moral that the story was clearly going for. It will not teach anyone any lessons that will sink in deeply, especially for the target audience. There are better books that teach kids about fads and toys in general, and I would recommend readers to look elsewhere for books that teach lessons like the one that this book was attempting to, with better execution, and probably finding more enjoyment out of it too. I'm sad to say that this is not really in the Berenstain's best efforts when it comes to books in this series. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Berenstain Bears Mad Toy Craze. And if you have any suggestions for future reviews on my channel, please leave them for me in the comments below. Please comment, share my video, and subscribe to my channel too. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.